Hey everyone! So for those of you tuning into my vlog for the first time, welcome. My name is Hilary and I'm a Phase 1 student in the Doctorate of Physical Therapy program at Carroll University. Recently, my advanced kinesiology class had the opportunity to take a field trip to the Milwaukee Public Museum. So upon viewing the exhibits, I started to think about the different interactions between culture and posture. So this led me to my first thesis, which states that an individual's posture is influenced by the traditions and ceremonies practiced within that culture. So this thesis came to mind especially while I was viewing the Japanese culture exhibit. So here you could see two Japanese women sitting on the floor participating in what looks like maybe a card game of sorts. But what really stood out to me was the way they were sitting. So both women were kneeling on the floor, their legs tucked underneath their thighs, resting on their bottoms. This type of sitting is known in the Japanese culture as seiza, which literally translates to proper or correct sitting. So this type of posture, as we learned in class, requires much more conscious awareness and is not nearly as energy efficient as a normal standing or sitting posture. Not only that, but the seiza posture in particular can actually cause a lot of knee discomfort or exacerbate symptoms of knee problems such as Osgood-Schlatters disease, which we also learned a little bit about. So some elderly or even injured individuals may find this posture extremely difficult. Even those generally unfamiliar with seiza sitting will find this posture very hard to maintain, and they may even experience a loss of circulation to their lower extremities, which we learned may lead them to then change their posture. I actually found that they even make a stool specifically for individuals who have a hard time maintaining that seiza posture. So they're known as seiza stools, and they're placed between the feet and where your bottom will rest, and they're made to help decrease that pressure that you're going to feel on your heels and on your feet, and generally on your lower extremities overall. So I then started to compare this to our own culture and how our posture is expected to be maintained during some of our traditional ceremonies, or for example, weddings. So in weddings, the bride and groom and their bridal party typically are allowed to stand freely. This might differ depending on your religion or what denomination of your religion you are, but they typically can kind of stand freely in a normal posture position where, their torques are going to be naturally balanced and they're going to have that balanced expenditure of energy as well. During church, sometimes we often vary our posture between sitting in the pew, so sitting in a chair versus sitting on the floor, or standing while we are singing or things like that. In some Christian denominations, the one that came to mind for me was Catholicism. Attendants are encouraged to kneel on a kneeling bench. Again, just similar to the Japanese culture, this may not be feasible for elderly or injured populations as it may exacerbate symptoms they're already experiencing. So, similar to the Japanese culture and the concept of seiza stools, you'll often see that kneeling stools are padded to help absorb some of the impulse and decrease the stress that is placed on the lower extremities. So next, at the museum, I started to ponder the effect environment has on movement, most specifically gait. So this brought me to my second thesis, which is that an individual's gait is characterized by the qualities of the environment in which they live in. So this was illustrated in the exhibit depicting the Teachout village in British Columbia. So this village is located on one of the many inlets along the rugged Pacific coast. And here in this exhibit, we saw a woman cutting up a salmon with a clamshell and a man carving a mask out of cedar wood. Upon looking down, I also noticed that they were both barefoot. So in order to do the required tasks for daily living, such as fishing, hunting, gathering, building, they're required to navigate that rough terrain very frequently. So due to this, they're going to undergo increased transverse tarsal movement, influenced by movement at the subtalar joint, to help give them that stability in all surfaces. Also, due to navigating this rough terrain, rocks, things like that, the individuals may have decreased walking speed, shorter step length, slower cadence, and increased time spent in double limb stance to improve their gait stability and help to prevent falls. So then I compared the Teachout tribe to our own culture and our own nation, and it made me think of the many different terrains present within the United States. So in the more rocky, mountainous terrains in the west, such as Colorado or Montana, residents may also have those similar adaptations in their gait to help them navigate more efficiently. But unlike the Teachout tribe, most Americans wear shoes to protect their feet from damage. So although these shoes such as boots or tennis shoes with increased support may help provide that protection from, rocks, debris, and other elements of the terrain, this may decrease their ability for subtalar and tailored motions, leaving them at a slight disadvantage in comparison to the quack-util tribe. So that's just something that could be considered. When looking at more flat terrain, such as the Midwest or even our own terrain, which is relatively flat, individuals in these populations have decreased need for those motions and should have relatively normal gait patterns. And these easier terrains to navigate also require less energy expenditure, making their gait typically more efficient. So before taking this field trip, I had never previously really considered the effects that culture and environment could have on posture and gait. So through completing this assignment, it definitely helped me to look further into each exhibit than I normally would have, and look deeper into what they were displaying than just what I saw at face value. And it also taught me how to integrate what I had found with my learning thus far in the program. So I really now understand how important this ability will be to ensure that I'm providing my patients with the most culturally competent care. And by considering their culture and their environment, I will be provided more insight into why their posture and or their gait is the way it is, which will help allow me to determine the best and most efficient treatment for them. So I really enjoyed my time at the museum, and I look forward to definitely continuing to use these skills I learned as I get further into the DPT program. Thanks for listening.